In previous lecture, we discussed about elements of earth magnetism. With the help of these elements, we can find the magnetic field of earth at any point completely. In the same lecture, we also discussed about earth's magnetism and we find the cause of earth magnetism. There we find that different scientists have different theories, but they all concluded to the same point. What was the point? That earth is rotating and due to which high current is produced and this earth behaves like a current loop. And in this way, it behaves like a bar magnet. And that was the cause of earth magnetism that was suggested by different scientists. But there was no proof of that. At the end of that lecture, I discussed about a point that are all elements on earth are magnetic in nature or they are non-magnetic. You can find the answer of this question by yourself. You can see around you. You find there are different types of substances and some of them are magnetic in nature and some are non-magnetic. Magnetic nature you can observe by attracting force between the two objects, and non-magnetic they are not attracting. And now the question is why some materials are magnetic in nature and others are non-magnetic in nature. Let's try to find out the answer of this question in this lecture and some more things I will discuss in this video. And along with that, I will discuss about the properties of different types of substances, whether they are magnetic or non-magnetic, what we call them, and what are the different definitions related to that. All those things I am going to discuss in this lecture. So without a further ado, let's get started. According to atomic and molecular theory of earth magnetism, each molecule of a magnetic substance itself behaves like a complete magnet. In unmagnetized substance, they are arranged randomly or haphazardly so that they form a closed chain. Closed chain means they have net zero magnetic moment. And in magnetic substance, they arranged in a regular way so that they form net magnetic moment and hence they behave like a magnet. You can see that part in like this. You can see here in a magnetic substance, they are arranged regularly. Suppose one arrow is represented a molecule and this is a magnet, tiny magnet we can say, and the substance or the specimen behaves like a complete magnet. If I made this is a say, so this will behave like a magnet. But in non-magnetic substance, these are arranged like this so that their net magnetic moment is zero. They have no regular pattern and hence they are arranged randomly or haphazardly, somewhat like this. So they have net zero magnetic moment and hence they are non-magnetic in nature. When a non-magnetic substance is placed near a magnetized substance, then it gets magnetized. If we heat a magnetic substance, then it loses its magnetization. It is due to the kinetic energy acquired by the molecule of the substance and they arrange themselves haphazardly or in no order and hence the net magnetic moment becomes zero. Here in these pictures we see some tiny magnets or molecular magnets. Can atom itself behaves like a magnet? Let's try to find out this. Atom as a magnetic dipole. In an atom, electrons revolves around the nucleus, so constitute the current and behaves as a current loop. So it acts as a magnetic dipole. For that, let us consider an electron is revolving like this and in this direction it is moving in clockwise direction. So the current will be in anti-clockwise when it revolves in its orbit. Then we know that if current is flowing in this direction, then the magnetic field will be in this direction. This is the north pole and this is the south pole. Since electron is revolving around this, electron is there and it constitutes current and hence magnetic field. So we can say that this atom behaves like a tiny magnet. Let's see the proof for this. For that, let us consider E is the charge on an electron revolving in an orbit with radius r. Say this is the radius r, that is r. Then current I, that will be equal to E by T, where E is the charge on electron and T is the time of period of revolution, means time to complete one revolution. We know that as omega, that is angular velocity, is 2 pi by T. So T, that is time period, that will be equal to 2 pi by omega. Using this value in this equation, say this is equation number 1, we get that is this I, that is current, that will be equal to E, and at the place of T we are putting the value that is 2 pi by omega, and omega will be here. So this is the current. Magnetic dipole moment, as we know that M, that will be equal to I into A, where I is the current and A is area of this loop. So from here we can write this M, that will be equal to I is equal to E omega by 2 pi, and this is area, and area is, we know that, pi r square, because r is the radius here, so the area will be pi r square. This is equation number 2. Now according to Bohr's theory, an electron revolving in stationary orbit in which its angular momentum is integral multiple of h cross. H cross means h upon 2 pi, where h is Planck's constant. So angular momentum, that is mvr, that must be equal to h upon 2 pi, and if it is rotating in nth orbit, so I can write nh upon 2 pi, where n is 1, 2, 3 and so on, is any integer. So if we put the value of v, as we know that v is equal to r omega, so putting this value we get that is m omega r into r, that it will be equal to nh upon 2 pi, or we can write that is m omega r square, that will be nh upon 2 pi. From this we can make that is r square omega, that will be nh upon 2 pi, and m in this side, that is m, that is r square omega is nh upon 2 pi. Say this is equation number 3. So 3 equations are there up to now, that is r square omega is equal to nh upon 2 pi m, and the first equation was I is equal to E by T, and the second equation was about magnetic moment. So these are the 3 equations up to now. Now let's move further. Now using this value in this equation, what we get here is r square omega is equal to ny. So putting the value of r square omega, because r square is here and omega is here, so r square omega, at the place of r square omega we can write that is 1 by 2 E nh upon 2 pi m. Now let's move further, and we get m magnetic moment is n eh divided by 4 pi m, and this is the required dipole moment. From here it is very clear that electron, when revolves in the orbit around the nucleus, it produces some magnetic moment, m is there, and hence this will behave like a magnet. Now at the place of all these things, that is E h 4 pi m, because E is constant, h is constant, 4 constant, pi constant, m constant, so all these things are constant, so we can put at the place of these mu b, and value of this mu b, that is 9.27 into 10 raised to the power minus 24 ampere meter square, and this is called Bohr's magneton. So this is the least value of magnetic moment of any atom, that is if n is equal to 1, then m magnetic moment is equal to mu b, because here we can write after using this value, that is magnetic moment M is equal to N into mu B, and for N is equal to 1 we can write M is equal to mu B, that is magnetic moment will be equal to Bohr magneton. So this is for hydrogen atom, we can say. Now question arises here is that if there are more than one number of electrons in an atom, then what will be? Then the magnetic moment M will be vector sum of all magnetic moments. So from here we find that atom behaves like a tiny magnet because electrons are revolving in an atom and thus they behaves as a magnet. And we also observed that if there are more than one number of electron in an atom, that is obviously in every atom except hydrogen atom, then you observe that the net magnetic moment is vector sum of all the magnetic moments due to all the electrons in an atom. And for a single atom, that is in case of hydrogen atom, magnetic moment M that will be equal to Bohr magneton, that is mu B. Now let's try to understand some definition related to magnetism. Magnetic permeability, it is represented by mu. It is the ability of a material to permit the passage of magnetic lines of force through it. It is represented by mu and can be written like this, that is B by H, where B is magnetic induction divided by, that is strength of magnetic field. Relative magnetic permeability, the ratio of magnetic permeability of the medium and magnetic permeability of free space. It is just the ratio that is represented by mu R. Mu means magnetic permeability, R means relative magnetic permeability. So it is represented by mu R, and we can write mu R that is equal to mu divided by mu naught, where mu is the magnetic permeability of medium and mu naught is the magnetic permeability of free space. That is mu naught is equal to 1 in vacuum and mu is greater than 1000 in iron. So here is the example for free space and here is the example for medium. Now what are the units of mu? That is permeability, that is Henry per meter, or we can write that is Weber per ampere per meter, or Tesla meter per ampere. Intensity of magnetization, it is the extent to which a specimen can be magnetized placed in magnetizing field. It is represented by I, and this I that will be equal to M upon V, where M is magnetic dipole moment developed per unit volume. Also, as we know that magnetic dipole moment is equal to M into 2L, where M is pole strength and 2L is the length of the dipole, and this volume can be written like this, that is area into length. Length of the dipole is 2L. So cancelling 2L by 2L, we can write that is M upon A. So this is also the ratio of pole strength divided by area of magnet unit, that is ampere meter square divided by meter cube, and we can write that is ampere per meter. Magnetic susceptibility, it is represented by the letter chi M. Always keep in mind this is not X, this is chi. X we write like this and this is chi, we can symbol like this and this. This is chi M means magnetic susceptibility. M represents magnetic. So it is the property which determines how easily specimen can be magnetized. The magnetic susceptibility of a material is defined as the ratio of intensity of magnetization developed to the strength of magnetic field, that is chi M, that will be equal to I by H. Here it is written intensity of magnetization developed to the strength of magnetic. I represents intensity of magnetization and H represents strength of magnetic field. Here we can write the unit like this, that is ampere per meter, and H also have unit ampere per meter. So we can say it is a unitless and dimensionless physical quantity because it is just the ratio of two things. Next one is magnetic induction. It is represented by B. The total number of lines of force threading the specimen per unit area in a magnetic field is called magnetic induction. Magnetic induction B can be written, that is H plus 4 pi m divided by A. Don't confuse with this capital M. Capital M is magnetic moment and this is pole strength. So this is not capital M but this is small m. And this, as we know that M by A, that is equal to I, that is magnetic induction. So we can write this B, that will be equal to H plus 4 pi I. Magnetizing force or magnetic intensity or strength of magnetic field. The degree to which a magnetic field can magnetize a material. In simple words, we can say that it is the ability of that field to magnetize a non-magnetic or magnetic substance or to demagnetize that. And as we calculated during the toroid solenoid article, that B is equal to mu naught Ni. And also we knows that B is equal to mu naught H. So from here we can write that this H, that is equal to N into I. In CGS units, H, that will be equal to B upon mu naught, and we know that B is measured in Gauss, and here mu naught, and that is, we can say 1 Gauss, and that is equal to 10 raised to the power minus 4 Tesla divided by, and here is 4 pi into 10 raised to the power minus 7 ampere per meter, or we can say 1 Oersted. So from here it is very clear that that is 1 Oersted, that is equal to 80 ampere per meter. Now the relation between mu and chi m, as we know that B, that will be equal to H plus 4 pi I in CGS units, and we know that that will be equal to I by H. So this I, that will be equal to chi m, we can use that here, that is chi m H. So using all these values we get B is equal to H plus 4 pi chi m H. Now taking H common from here, we get H 1 plus 4 pi chi m, and dividing in this side we get B by H, that is equal to 1 plus 4 pi and chi m. As we know that B by H is equal to mu, that is permeability. We can write this mu, which is equal to 1 plus 4 pi chi m. So this is the relation between these two. So these were some of the definitions related to magnetism. If you have any kind of query or problem related to this, you can write me on comment section of YouTube, or you can send me a telegram, or you can send me a picture with the help of WhatsApp or email, any mode you want. If you don't find my Telegram channel, then you can search in Telegram using Bhautik IQ, or on YouTube it is Bhautik. If you want to continue with me for future videos or lectures, you can subscribe the channel or you can directly message me on the Telegram channel. So that's all for this lecture. Till next lecture, goodbye.